This is my DIY duck hunting food plot update. And so a few months ago, I planted some rice in my duck hole, and I just wanted to share some of the things I learned when doing this, some of the things I did wrong, some of the things I did right. But as you can see behind me, it's growing. But I've planted every kind of duck hole food plot that you can have, as far as doing it on like a small scale, not doing those giant, like, ag fields or giant flooded cornfields or whatever. I've done a lot of smaller stuff. I've been around some of the big, flooded cornfields and stuff, and flooded rice fields. But for most people that are just doing it on like a small piece of property, I've done everything you can imagine. And so this is what I've learned. So for the most part, I've done a lot of planting. We plant all kinds of millet, all kinds of sorghum, corn, beans, whatever, a bunch of that stuff. And they all did good. The ducks really like them. Big fan of those. But I wanted to try something a little different. Okay, so for like those, whenever you plant them, the deer get after them really good. The deer love them. Not saying deer don't eat rice, because I discovered they like rice too. But also, like, if you don't have a tractor or anything, or like a disc to put on your four-wheeler, you're kind of screwed. So if you're like, I don't know, if you're like 16 and you're wanting something like you can just kind of throw out there and get it to work, this is something you can do. And it's a pretty cheap option, especially if you don't have like heavy equipment and stuff. So like I said, a few months ago, I got on the internet and I was scrolling through, and I was trying to like look up other duck hunting food plot stuff, whatever. And I come across some people planting rice, and I was like, wild rice, whatever. And I ordered some from Hancock Seed. It's not actually wild rice, it's just like ag rice. But anyway, and I was like, I'm gonna try this and see how easy it is. And I saw a lot of people saying they were having some trouble with it. And I saw a lot of people saying it worked great. And the packaging says that you can plant this rice in up to 6 inches of water when you sow it, and it'll grow. And I've come to find out that didn't work out for me. So I got the seed, I followed it, I soaked it in the water for like 36 hours, put it in some burlap sacks, soaked it, started the germination process. Then I came out here and drained my duck hole down some, but I left enough water in it so that I'd have bare mud flats and stuff that still had water in it that was, around that 6 inch mark, maybe a little deeper. But I tried to keep it, 6 to 8 inches. I really wanted to test it and see, how easy and how lazy I could be at planting this, to see how good it would do. And it didn't do as good as I thought or I was hoping, but I really, next year when I do it, now that I know what I'm doing, I think it's going to be awesome. So all this stuff that's super green back in this area, that was all basically just flat mud. It was just mud. So I sowed the seeds on there, threw them out, and it did pretty well. Some of this closer stuff right here, that was under, just an inch or two of water. It's doing well, it's coming up. But this rice came in super thick, and there's like no weeds in there. It's almost all rice, except for like right in here, there's a few weeds and stuff coming up. But it's basically all rice. And so I was pretty happy with that. But as you get over in there, there's like a ditch that comes through that our water comes in on. And like all this is probably now, it's probably like, a foot deep. At the time when we were actually pumping the water out, it was, about 8 inches. And like anything above like 3 or 4 inches of water, it didn't really like grow well at all. It didn't germinate. Even over there, dude, that's like the edge of the pond by my truck. And I just threw some of that out on like bare, dry ground for, testing purposes. And it did great. It almost did, it's almost as thick and maybe even thicker than this stuff in here. But I will say the deer and the ducks, I still see ducks in here, and they had a lot of babies in here that there's still water left. It's pretty thick. There's been a lot of little ducklings, little wood ducklings running around here, and they seem to really like this stuff. But as far as like preparing and planting, we just drained the sucker down and threw it out there, and it grew like no tilling, no fertilizing, none of that. It did really well. I'm interested to see, like, because the next couple months or month or two, I should start to see like seed heads. I want to see how much seed it makes, because man, when you plant a bunch of sorghum, a bunch of millet, that makes a ton of seed, and then you just reflood it. But sometimes you get some weeds in there, depending on how thick you do it. If you do any spraying, I usually don't spray too much, but I really like that stuff. We've had years where we've had you know, a bunch of ducks eating on it. I'll put some game camera footage up, but I'm really interested in trying this rice stuff and seeing how they like it, because the seeds are supposed to last a little longer after they come off the stem and be able to be in the water and be submerged longer. So I'm hoping to have more duck use days later in the year, because I feel like when I do like sorghum and millet and stuff, like later in the year, those last couple weeks in January, it's tough. I feel like whenever, you know, I feel like Christmas time ish is when I see the most amount of ducks. But I really like the rice. You know, now that I know what I'm doing, that I just need to drain it all and throw it on straight mud. As you can see, all this has water on it now. Once it comes up and it beats the water up, it'll grow. It does great. But you know, anything that's over 6 inches, I wouldn't try as far as that. But as far as like millet, sorghum stuff, you want like dry dirt, just like you're almost like doing a deer food plot. But I'm a big rice fan so far, and I think it's going to turn out great. Another benefit is, since you have water on it all year round, you're kind of shading out all your weeds. Then you drain it, put out your rice, and you're good to go. But also, I've been seeing a ton of local ducks staying in here, a bunch of local mallards, and a ton of wood ducks and their babies. I mean, there'd be like 40 wood duck babies streaming across here every time I drive up. But they're loving it. I mean, it's almost August and I still see ducks back here, and they seem to be eating like bugs or whatever. I don't really think they're eating too much of the ryegrass behind me, and it's not seeding out. But I'm really hoping, you know, when it comes duck season time, I think they're gonna love it. And I think those local birds, because there's some beaver swamps over here behind me, and the backwater river's not too far away. So I'm thinking they're coming in. I'm hoping those home birds will keep coming in, and when the migratories get down here, they bring them too, you know, bring their friends, and it gets ugly. But my name's Hunter Cleve, do a lot of fishing, hunting videos. If you like these sorts of videos, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.